The myth of triggers. There really are no triggers, only thought created predictions. I'm Jürgen Rasmussen. Welcome to the Provocative Hypnosis vlog. So every day I see clients, and almost all clients talk about being triggered. They're very happy to tell me about what they think their triggers are, and they want help with those triggers. But the good news is there are no triggers. I'm serious about this, by the way. There are no triggers. Your emotional inner life is not triggered by objects or events or history or anything like that. Your inner life is actually constructed. Now, it seems as if there are triggers, but in reality, there's only thinking. There's only thinking that creates the illusion that some object or circumstance or historical fact somehow causes some internal experience in you. But this is your mind predicting and anticipating that when I step into this airplane or this elevator or meet this person, I'm going to have this experience. And your mind kind of making that prediction come true in your experience. But there's no trigger involved. There are reflexes. I'm not saying that human beings don't have reflexes. If someone hits you right below the knee and you have a fully functioning neurology, your leg will extend, but there are no triggers. So I'll give an example of this. Just recently, a minor miracle happened. Norway actually beat Italy 3-0 in soccer. Now, I'm not a soccer fan, but even not being a soccer fan, it's hard to escape that this seems like a minor miracle. And I've seen a couple of clients in my office who have been just so happy and so ecstatic about this, right? And it really seemed to them that when they watched Norway score against Italy, that the fact of Norway scoring triggered an experience of ecstasy or euphoria or just joy in them. And it doesn't seem as if it has anything to do with thinking whatsoever. It just seems like a triggered response. But consider this. The fact that a foot kicks a letter ball past a white line and into a net. If that foot is attached to a body that has the Norwegian colors on its back, then Norwegian fans will feel ecstasy. But the Italian fans will feel anything but ecstasy. They'll feel deep disappointment or anger or depression or perhaps even shame or something like that. But when the same ball gets kicked by a different foot over another white line into a different net, the Norwegians, might go crazy, and the Italians might get ecstatic. Now, the Italians didn't actually score in this particular match, but let's just imagine that they did. Now, obviously, the fact that a ball gets kicked into a net is completely neutral. It doesn't mean anything. That set of events has no power to make anyone feel anything. But as a Norwegian soccer fan, if that's your identity, if you identify as Norwegian and you're a fan of soccer, then you're going to predict and construct the fact that that ball moves into that net as a very good thing. So when that happens, you're going to feel amazing. But it's not triggered from the outside. It's constructed from the inside, right? So same goes, for example, whether it's chronic pain or being angry. Like I sometimes will drive by the convenience store, on the way home to get groceries, and on occasion, if someone takes too long with the cashier, I might feel a sense of irritability, right? And it seems at that point that the person who's taking too long is triggering me and irritating me. But again, these are my mind's predictions and rules as to how long things should take and how other people should behave and how the world should work, and when this happens I'll feel like this, and the mind kind of kicking that off, right? Now I'm not saying that we human beings don't have a nature, that there aren't likely, quite natural responses that many of us will have, in certain life circumstances. But there truly are no triggers. There's only our minds predicting that if this happens, it means this. Or every time I enter into this context or this happens, I tend to feel like this. So the mind produces that, and the mind produces this illusion that there's one factor called a trigger that creates this other factor called an emotion. But in reality, there's only thinking. So you can update your predictions, by realizing that they are predictions. The moment you kind of realize that this is something that's constructed inside of you versus triggered by something external, things seem to look less threatening or less overwhelming or less important. You can also plan for your responses to be different by intending it and by rehearsing it. And as a result of that, discovering that you have different responses. And of course, sometimes too, when we have a shift in perspective or some sort of insight, many of our predictions automatically get updated. So, whenever you think you're being triggered, it's just your mind predicting something. And there's a lot of freedom to be had in truly seeing that, in truly realizing that. So, if you'd like some help in updating your own mind's predictions, and you're wondering whether you and I could be a good fit, I invite you to send me an email through provocativehypnosis.com, and we'll set up a conversation and see if it makes sense to explore together as a team. Also, if you're looking for mentoring, if you're seeing clients for a living or you're stuck on the meditation path or something like that, send me an email. We'll have a conversation and see if it makes sense to do something together. As always, thanks for listening.